This is the follow-up video to the lumber grading series for the online dresser build. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to finalize our plans based off of some of the drawings submitted by you guys. From there, we're going to go into what we need to do for both the feet and the sides. So right now, I'm just showing pictures of what has been submitted. There was a lot of good details put in these plans, which brought up some interesting proposals. A few of them were a little too complex and didn't fit the wood requirements, but some of them brought up some good designs for the feet that I'd like to take into consideration for design. With that said, the one that would really chuck the cake when it came to this mission is this particular 3D drawing right here. The rendering really does capture kind of like what we're trying to do for the dresser itself. The only problem is if we look at the front, the legs aren't really proportional to the whole entire structure. The height's great, but they seem pretty thin. So that's one thing I would change on these plans specifically. So this is the sketch from the first video in the proposal of the dresser build itself. And again, this is what we can do with the material we had. A lot of people had some really good inputs into the overall wood selection itself. The big winner was mahogany edge banding for the entire case with an oak shelf, and the feet itself, the winner was walnut. So what I was going to do, so if I skip ahead. So after reviewing all the designs for the feet, I combined a few of them together to make this foot design here. So what it is a walnut construction solid foot that's going to be 4 inches tall by 2 3/4 tall, wide by 1 3/8 at its narrowest at a 65-degree angle. Now up here, what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate the lathe. So this will be done on the bandsaw. We'll cut all 4 sides at a 65-degree angle. So 2 3/4 at the top, and then 1 3/8 on the bottom. Now when it gets to the lathe, what we're going to do is we're going to take this carbide tool and we're going to approach it from the side, and that's all we're doing. It's just creating a little notch here on the side, all the way around 365 degrees. All right, so that is one part of the build. The next part of the build that we need to cover is, so the next part I had to draw in more detail was how was I going to put the edge banding on the plywood itself. So normally on plywood, we just laminate a solid piece of wood to cover the layers of the laminated plywood. It also serves as a protective edge to protect the thin laminate on top from being chipped or torn from, overall use. But the problem I foresaw on a large edge banding glue up like we have on the top and bottom piece of our cabinet is that it could bow up or below as I'm gluing it up. So I wanted a more secure way of laminating it to the plywood, and this is what I came up with. So I would cut a rabbet in the edge banding, and I'd cut a rabbet in the plywood that would go across the face and the edge, the front edge, and the side of the plywood. And then at the corners, it would either meet with a miter or a rabbet. So the rabbet would be, you'd have just a straight piece rabbeted, and then when it came up to touch the front piece, we would notch it with a rabbet so that they fit together perfect. So from the side, you will see the end grain of the front banding and the edge grain of the side banding. Whereas in the miter, because the end grains are capped, you won't see the end grain of the front banding. So what that kind of looks like, just as a gentle sketch, is that you'll have our maple plywood here. So you got your white, then you got your mahogany edge banding across the top, the front side piece, and the bottom edge. And then on the bottom will be 2 walnut pieces. So going forward, since this is the most complex part, we're going to probably try to do this first. And what I'm going to ask for is your input on either should we miter or rabbet this connection here, because that will dictate where we go with cross-cutting the plywood. Because if it were to be rabbeted, all right, so because it's 81 inches long, the mahogany, all right, and I go in a 1/4 inch on two sides, that's 1/2 inch, all right, the actual plywood length would have to be 81 and a half. So the entire board has to be cut down to 81 and a half. So I'd like to problem solve with you guys on what would look better aesthetically, and just put down in the comments below, or if this is the Ed puzzle, please comment in the question at the end of this video. With that said, once we've finished finalizing these parts, we're actually going to start next week on actually constructing the top rabbets and finalizing the length of the top piece. So what I would like from you guys is your input on what style of edge banding would look great, because the reason why is depending on which one we choose, it will dictate how we use the material and how tall the top is. Because if I do a miter, I'm actually going to have to make it smaller, the plywood top smaller, because I'm taking material off of the 81 inch long edge banding, because it is 81. So this would actually become shorter right off the bat, so I'd have to shorten this. Now if I do the rabbet, all right, I don't have to worry about my front piece being too short because it already is at 81 inches. What I do have to worry about though is I need to make the plywood less, because if the edge banding comes in a 1/4 inch all the way around and there's a 1/2 inch on either side, I need to shrink that size to 81 and a half, so that when the whole piece is put together, because this mahogany is only 81 inches, it comes up to exactly 81. Because again, I can't add onto this number. That's my given number for mahogany. So I can't go any larger than this. I can go smaller, but I can't go any larger. So that covers the edge banding and most of the detailed drawings that need to be cleared up to actually start this project. Where we're going to start is, depending on what edge banding is selected, we're going to start cutting the top and bottoms to their final lengths, so that we can start cutting in these rabbets using different techniques going through our dresser tops. And with that said, I look forward to actually starting this build now with you guys, and I hope you guys have a safe week and have a great day.